Most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they never learned how to think. They react, they assume, they follow the crowd, and then wonder why life feels confusing, chaotic, and stuck. You see, in a world that's loud with opinions, fast with pressure, and full of distractions, the rarest thing is clear thinking. The kind that pauses before reacting. The kind that listens before speaking. The kind that cuts through noise and sees what others miss. Today I'm going to show you how to master the one skill that changes everything. Critical thinking. Not the kind they teach in school, but the kind that helps you speak boldly, act wisely, and live with clarity. Because once your mind is sharp, your decisions get better, your confidence grows, and your actions start building real results, not regrets. This isn't about overthinking or becoming a robot. It's about learning to pause, reflect, and respond with power. It's about stepping into conversations, challenges, and choices with a mind that's clear and a voice that's steady. Stay with me for the next few minutes as I break down the habits, the mindset, and the steps that will help you think like a leader and move like a winner. Let's dive in. Number 1, stop reacting, start questioning. Most people live their entire lives on autopilot. Something happens, they react. Someone says something, they take it personally. A challenge shows up, they panic. No pause, no process, just pure reaction. But here's the truth. If you want to master critical thinking, the first step is learning how to pause and question before you react. You can't think clearly when you're busy defending your ego or rushing to respond. That's not thinking, that's emotional reflex. Real thinkers don't just jump to conclusions. They ask, what's really happening here? They look at the situation from different angles. They pause long enough to catch their breath and catch the truth. You see, questions are powerful. One good question can save you from a bad decision. One moment of reflection can save you from a lifetime of regret. But most people don't take that moment. They go with the first feeling, the loudest voice, the fastest choice, and they pay the price for it over and over again. The next time you feel the urge to react, stop. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What's the full picture? Am I making this worse in my head? These questions give you back control. They break the chain of impulsive thinking. Great decisions are rarely made in emotional storms. They come from calm minds, clear thoughts, and smart questions. That's the mark of a real thinker. Not someone who knows all the answers, but someone who knows how to pause and ask the right ones. Train your mind to do this daily. Whether you're in an argument, facing pressure, or just feeling off, don't react blindly. Question first. Think second. Act last. This single habit, pausing to ask questions, will put you 10 steps ahead of most people. Because while they're busy reacting, you'll be responding with clarity, strength, and purpose. That's how you stop being a victim of circumstances and start being the author of your own story. Let the world rush. Let others snap and spiral. You think first. That's power. Number 2, don't trust every thought you think. Just because a thought pops into your head doesn't mean it's true. And yet most people believe every thought that passes through their mind. They treat every fear as fact, every doubt as a warning, every negative voice as a sign. But here's the reality. Your mind produces thoughts like your lungs produce breaths, constantly, automatically. And not all of those thoughts are helpful. In fact, many are outdated, emotional, or just plain false. You can't live a strong, clear life if you believe every whisper your mind throws at you. One moment it says, you're not good enough. The next it says, you're better than everyone. One moment it tells you to quit. The next it tells you to prove something. If you don't learn to separate signal from noise, you'll be pulled in 100 directions and never find peace. Critical thinking begins when you realize your brain is a tool, not a truth machine. It gives you raw material, not finished answers. Your job is to examine those thoughts, question them, push back when necessary. A strong mind doesn't just absorb, it filters, it sorts, it decides what's worth keeping and what's worth tossing out. Have you ever noticed how some thoughts hit you hardest late at night or when you're tired or overwhelmed? That's not insight, it's exhaustion. But when you're unaware, you take those thoughts seriously. You believe them. You let them steer your mood, your actions, even your self-worth. Here's the mindset shift. Your thoughts are suggestions, not orders. They don't have authority unless you give it to them. You can acknowledge a thought without obeying it. You can feel fear without running from it. You can hear doubt without backing down. That's the difference between being controlled by your mind and controlling your mind. So how do you build that kind of discipline? Start by catching the thought. Pause. Ask, is this actually true, or is it just loud right now? Then look at the evidence. Is this thought helping you or harming you? Is it coming from wisdom or insecurity? Treat your thoughts like someone knocking on your door. You don't have to let every one of them in. When you start living this way, something powerful happens. You stop reacting to everything you think. You stop being a prisoner to your own mind, and you start becoming the thinker, the chooser, the one in control. That's how great minds operate. They don't trust everything they think. They test it, they observe it, and they rise above the noise. You can do the same, but it starts with this truth. Not every thought deserves your belief. Think smarter, live freer. That's the goal. Number 3, clarity begins with listening. Most people don't listen. They wait for their turn to talk. And because they don't truly listen, they don't truly understand. They hear the words but miss the meaning. They nod their head but their mind is busy, crafting the perfect response or comeback. That's not listening. That's just waiting to speak. But if you want to master critical thinking, if you want to speak boldly and act smart, it starts with something simple but powerful. Listening with presence. Not passive listening, not distracted listening. Real listening, the kind where your focus is sharp, your mind is quiet, and your goal is to understand, not interrupt. Listening is one of the most underrated forms of intelligence, because when you truly listen, you catch things others miss. You hear intention, emotion, hesitation, even manipulation. You gather information that the loudmouths in the room overlook. While others are trying to impress, you're collecting clues. You're connecting dots. Here's the truth. Listening is how you learn. It's how you read the room. It's how you avoid misunderstandings, missed opportunities, and unnecessary arguments. Most problems in relationships, business, and even daily life don't come from a lack of intelligence. They come from a lack of listening. People assume, they misread, and then they act on half the story. Train yourself to slow down in conversations. Make it your mission to understand before you respond. Look people in the eye, not to intimidate, but to absorb. Tune in not just to the words, but the tone, the body language, the energy behind what's being said. Ask yourself, what is this person really saying? What are they not saying? That level of attention gives you clarity. It gives you advantage. And don't just listen to others. Learn to listen to life. Pay attention to how people react around you. Pay attention to patterns, to moments of silence, to your own discomfort. Life is always speaking, but only those who slow down and pay attention actually hear it. Listening builds trust. It builds connection, and it gives you time to think. When you listen more, you speak better. You don't ramble. You don't guess. You respond with precision, and that's powerful. In a world that moves fast and talks loud, a calm, focused listener stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. So if you want to be sharp, if you want your words and actions to carry weight, start here. Listen with care. Listen to understand, not to outshine. And you'll gain the clarity most people never have. Because clarity doesn't begin with your voice. It begins with your ears. Listen well, and your thinking will follow. Number 4, emotions are messengers, not masters. You are allowed to feel angry. You are allowed to feel hurt, scared, frustrated, even defeated. Emotions are not your enemy. They're part of being human. But here's the key. While emotions are valid, they are not commands. They're messengers, not masters. You feel them, you listen to them, but you don't let them take the wheel. Too many people make life-altering decisions in emotional storms. They quit when they're tired, lash out when they're angry, or chase things that temporarily numb their pain. But when the emotion fades, regret shows up. And regret has a longer shelf life than any burst of emotion ever will. So how do you take back control? It starts by creating space between what you feel and what you do. Just because you feel something intensely doesn't mean you need to act on it immediately. That pause, that brief moment of awareness, is where maturity lives. It's where critical thinking kicks in. Anger might tell you something unfair happened. Good, listen to it. But don't let it speak for you. Fear might signal that something needs caution-wise, but don't let it paralyze you. Even sadness might be telling you something important is missing, but don't drown in it. Learn to treat each emotion like a notification, not a demand. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me? What triggered it? Is it about the situation now, or is it echoing something old? When you do this, you start developing emotional intelligence, the ability to feel fully but respond wisely. You don't suppress your emotions, but you also don't get dragged by them. You observe, you reflect, then you choose your move. The truth is, emotions can be powerful allies when understood and dangerous enemies when left unchecked. That's why the most grounded people in any room aren't the ones who feel less. They're the ones who've trained themselves to process more. Next time your emotions flare up, don't run and don't explode. Breathe, ground yourself, ask questions, let the emotion deliver its message, then let it pass. Don't get stuck in it. Don't build an identity around it. It's just energy, temporary, intense, but manageable. This doesn't make you cold. It makes you conscious. It means you're living with awareness, not impulse. It means your decisions are being made from clarity, not chaos. And that is what separates the wise from the impulsive. One lets emotions speak. The other lets emotions dictate. Choose to be the one who listens, learns, and then leads. Because when you master your emotions, you start mastering your life. Number 5, ask better questions. Get better answers. Most people walk around with the same questions on repeat. Why is this happening to me? What if I fail? Why can't I catch a break? And without realizing it, those weak questions keep them stuck in a cycle of self-pity, confusion, and fear. If you want better answers in life, you need to start asking better questions. That's where critical thinking begins. Not with knowing everything, but with knowing what to ask. Your brain is like a search engine. Whatever question you feed it, it will search for an answer. If you ask poor questions, your mind will give you poor answers. Ask something like, why do I always mess things up? And your brain will go to work proving it. But ask instead, what can I learn from this so I do better next time? And suddenly your entire mindset shifts from shame to strategy. Better questions unlock better thinking. They help you go beyond surface-level reactions and dig into the truth. Instead of asking, what's wrong with them? Try, what part of this do I need to take responsibility for? Instead of how can I avoid failure? Try, what can I build that's worth failing for? These are questions that stretch your perspective, challenge your ego, and sharpen your mind. The quality of your life is directly connected to the quality of your thinking. And the quality of your thinking is shaped by the quality of your questions. Great thinkers are not the ones with all the answers. They're the ones asking the most meaningful questions. They stay curious. They stay humble. They want to understand before they judge. And because of that, they see what others miss. Ask questions that push you to grow. Questions like, what am I pretending not to know? What belief is holding me back? What's the next best step I can take today? These aren't always comfortable questions, but they are necessary. Because comfort doesn't grow you. Clarity does. And remember, asking good questions isn't just about self-reflection. It's a powerful tool in communication too. The best leaders, mentors, and problem solvers know how to ask questions that bring out the truth in others. They don't assume, they explore. They don't jump to conclusions, they investigate. That habit alone can save you years of misunderstanding and mistakes. So stop waiting for the perfect answer to fall into your lap. Start crafting better questions. Ask with intention. Ask with honesty. Ask with courage. And then listen, really listen to what the answers reveal. That's how you break old patterns. That's how you unlock solutions. That's how you rise above average thinking. Because when you learn to ask better, you start to live better. Every great breakthrough begins with a powerful question. Start asking yours. Number 6, spot manipulation before it grabs you. In this world, everyone wants something, and not everyone plays fair to get it. Some use charm, some use guilt, some use fear, praise, or even silence. That's why, if you want to think clearly and live wisely, you must train your mind to spot manipulation before it grabs hold of you. Manipulation doesn't always look like a scam or a trap. Sometimes it wears a smile. Sometimes it sounds like a compliment. And sometimes it's wrapped in emotional stories that make you feel guilty for saying no. That's why it's dangerous. Because it's subtle. It works in the shadows. It's not about truth. It's about control. And if you don't know how to recognize it, you'll keep falling into the same mental traps. The first sign of manipulation is pressure. When someone tries to rush your decision, hurry up, or you'll miss out. If you really cared, you'd do this now. That's not urgency. That's control disguised as opportunity. When someone tries to short-circuit your thinking, pause, take a breath, The right decision doesn't need panic to push it forward. Another sign, guilt tripping. Watch for people who use your kindness against you. After everything I've done for you, or wow, I didn't expect that from you. That's not communication. It's emotional blackmail. You are not selfish for protecting your peace or setting a boundary. Then there's flattery. Yes, it feels good to be praised. But ask yourself, what's behind it? Some people compliment you just to lower your guard. You're so smart. I'm sure you'll agree with me. Be aware when praise turns into persuasion. Appreciation is honest. Flattery is a tactic. Even silence can be a tool. Some people withhold communication, affection, or approval just to make you chase them. They know your need for connection, and they twist it into power. When someone's silence feels like a punishment, ask yourself, are they really respecting your space, or are they playing a game? To think critically, you must learn to protect your mind from these subtle tricks. Don't be paranoid, but be aware. Ask what's really being said here. What's the motive? If I say no, what happens? These questions bring the truth into the light. And most importantly, trust your gut, but test it with logic. If something feels off, don't ignore it. Slow down. Review the facts. Manipulation thrives in speed, confusion, and emotion, but it crumbles under clarity. Your mind is your greatest asset. Guard it. Don't give anyone the power to guide your actions through guilt, pressure, or sweet words. You were born to think for yourself, not to be played. Learn to spot manipulation early, and you'll save yourself from regret later. That's how you protect your freedom. That's how you move through life, with strength, not strings. Number 7. Learn to say, I don't know. There's something powerful, almost rare, about a person who can look you in the eye and say, I don't know. No pretending, no bluffing, no ego, just honesty. And yet most people run from those 3 words, like they're admitting failure, but they're not. In fact, saying I don't know is one of the strongest things you can do because it opens the door to real learning, real thinking, and real growth. The pressure to always have an answer is everywhere. At work, at home, online. Everyone wants to sound smart, look sharp, and seem like they've got it all figured out. But here's the truth. Nobody knows everything, and pretending you do doesn't make you look confident. It makes you look afraid to grow. Critical thinkers don't bluff. They don't guess to impress. They stay humble, curious, and clear. When they don't know something, they say it plainly, and then they go find out. That's the difference between someone who wants to look intelligent and someone who is intelligent. One fakes certainty. The other seeks truth. Think about how many problems could be avoided if people just admitted what they didn't know. Bad advice, poor decisions, costly mistakes. They often begin with someone pretending they understood something they didn't, and that's dangerous. Because acting like you know when you don't is how trust breaks down. It's how miscommunication spreads. It's how people get hurt. So train yourself to embrace the unknown. Don't fear it. Use it. When you don't know something, say, I'm not sure, but I'll find out. Or I don't know enough to give a good answer yet. That's not weakness. That's wisdom in motion. Because the moment you admit you don't know is the moment you position yourself to actually learn. And here's another truth. When you're honest about what you don't know, people trust you more. They see you as real, grounded, and thoughtful. They know you're not just saying things to fill the silence. You're choosing your words with care. That's a rare quality, and it builds credibility faster than fake confidence ever will. The world doesn't need more people pretending to be experts. It needs more people willing to ask, explore, and grow. So drop the pressure to always be right. Start developing the courage to be honest. Because truth seekers aren't afraid of saying, I don't know. They're afraid of staying stuck in ignorance. Remember, every expert started with those same 3 words. Every breakthrough began with a question, not an answer. So don't run from uncertainty. Respect it. It's your invitation to rise. Own what you don't know. Then go get the knowledge. That's how real thinkers move. That's how real growth begins. Number 8. Make decisions with logic, not laziness. Every day you're making decisions. What to do, what to say, where to go, how to respond. And here's what most people don't realize. Most of those decisions aren't being made with deep thought. They're being made out of habit, emotion, or pure mental laziness. People choose what's easy, not what's right. They follow the crowd, not the facts. They react fast instead of thinking smart. And that's how lives slowly drift into regret. If you want to master critical thinking, You must start making decisions with logic, not laziness. That means you stop letting your feelings be the final word. It means you don't just choose the most convenient option, you choose the wisest one. That's where the power is. Not in speed, not in comfort, but in clarity. The lazy mind asks, what's the fastest way out of this? The logical mind asks, what's the smartest move for the long run? One avoids pressure, the other handles it. One escapes growth, the other walks into it. Lazy thinking will always choose what feels good right now, scrolling instead of learning, blaming instead of improving, avoiding instead of solving. Logical thinking sees past the moment. It pauses, it weighs options. It asks, if I do this, what happens next? That one simple question can save you years of cleaning up messes from rushed decisions. Making logical decisions doesn't mean you ignore your emotions. It means you consider them, but don't worship them. You use them as input, not instruction. Logic gives you the power to zoom out, to see the big picture, and to act from strength instead of reaction. The truth is, it takes energy to think clearly. It takes discipline to slow down and analyze. That's why most people skip it. They go with what's comfortable, not what's correct. But comfort won't build you a better future. Discipline will. So the next time you're faced with a choice, pause. Ask yourself, am I choosing this because it's right or because it's easy? That one question can change the whole game. Let it guide you. Because over time, the easy road leads to hard consequences. But the logical road, it leads to strength, freedom, and peace of mind. Don't let laziness disguise itself as instinct. Don't mistake comfort for clarity. Take ownership of your choices. Be the kind of person who thinks, not just reacts. Who chooses what's right, not just what's quick. The strongest people aren't the ones with the best feelings. They're the ones with the clearest thinking. They know how to slow down, step back, and decide with purpose. Train your mind to choose logic over laziness. It won't always be easy, but it will always be worth it. That's how smart lives are built. One clear decision at a time. Number 9. Speak boldly, but only when ready. There's a time to speak and a time to wait. And too often, people get those two confused. They speak too soon, without thinking it through. They rush to give opinions they haven't earned, or advice they don't live by. And in the process, they trade their credibility for attention. But here's the truth. Your words carry power, and when used carelessly, that power can work against you. Speaking boldly doesn't mean speaking constantly. It means speaking with purpose. It means thinking before you open your mouth. And it means not just saying what sounds good, but saying what's true, necessary, and timely. Some people think silence is weakness. It's not. Silence can be strength. It gives you space to think. It protects your clarity. It shows you're not just reacting, you're calculating. Because when you finally do speak, it means something. People lean in, they listen. Why? Because they know you don't just talk to fill the air. You speak to bring light. Critical thinkers don't rush to comment on everything. They don't jump into every argument, and they don't try to win every conversation. They wait, they observe, they ask questions, and then they speak with calm authority. That's how real influence works. Not through volume, but through value. You've probably seen it. Someone who talks endlessly, trying to dominate the room. At first, it seems impressive, but soon people tune them out. Because when every sentence is delivered like a speech, nothing feels genuine, nothing lands. But the person who waits, who thinks, who speaks only when the moment is right, that's the voice people remember. So the next time you feel pressure to jump in, pause, ask yourself, do I really have something to add here? Have I thought this through, or am I just reacting? And if you're not sure, wait. Gather your thoughts, process the moment, then speak with intention. This is especially important when emotions run high. In heated moments, silence can be your greatest tool. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you refuse to let your message get lost in the storm. You're not afraid to speak, but you're smart enough to wait until your words will actually matter. And when you do speak, don't mumble, don't doubt, don't hide behind vague language. Speak with boldness, with honesty, with weight. Let your words carry your integrity. Let them reflect your thought process. That's how you earn respect, by making people feel the substance behind your voice. Remember, every word you speak is either building your reputation or breaking it down. Don't speak just to be heard. Speak because you have something worth hearing. Think deeply, speak wisely. And when the moment is right, speak boldly. That's how your voice makes an impact that lasts. Number 10. Test your beliefs often. Most people walk through life with a set of beliefs they picked up years ago and never questioned again. Beliefs about themselves, about others, about success, failure, money, relationships, you name it. They inherited these ideas from their family, their culture, their childhood experiences. And without realizing it, they built their entire lives on top of those beliefs, as if they were absolute truth. But here's the catch. Beliefs are not facts. They're stories we choose to accept as true. And if you never stop to examine them, some of those stories will silently hold you back. That's why critical thinking requires more than just challenging others. It requires challenging yourself. You must test your own beliefs, especially the ones that have been sitting unchallenged in the background of your life. Ask yourself, where did I learn this belief? Who taught me this? And did they have the life I want? Is this still serving me, or is it limiting me? Those are hard questions, but they're the ones that lead to real freedom. Because when you find a belief that no longer fits your vision or values, you get to rewrite it. That's how growth happens. Let's say you've always believed, I'm just not good with money. Where did that come from? Was it something you saw growing up? Something someone said during a mistake? Is it really true? Or just something you've repeated for so long, it became a part of your identity? Every belief you carry shapes your behavior, and that behavior shapes your results. So if your results aren't where you want them to be, start by inspecting your beliefs. If you believe people can't be trusted, you'll isolate yourself. If you believe success requires luck, you'll avoid the hard work. If you believe you're not worthy, you'll settle for less every time. The danger isn't in having beliefs, it's in never updating them. The world changes. You change, and your mind must evolve too. Just like your phone needs regular updates, your thinking does too. Otherwise, you'll be running today's life on yesterday's mindset. There's no shame in changing your mind when you discover a better way. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's strength. That's how leaders think. They don't cling to beliefs out of pride. They refine their thinking to match their growth. So take time to reflect. Sit with your assumptions. Challenge your opinions. Stay curious. You don't need to throw everything out, but you do need to stay awake. Test your beliefs, or they'll end up testing you. And if they fail you, the cost isn't just mental. It's your entire future. Think sharp. Question often. Grow forever. That's the path of someone who leads their life, not just follows the one handed to them. Number 11. Think long-term. Most people don't. One of the clearest signs of a strong thinker is their ability to see beyond the moment. Most people live day to day reacting to whatever shows up. They chase short-term pleasure, avoid short-term discomfort, and end up trapped in long-term consequences. But the ones who rise above, they think long-term. They ask, if I do this now, where will it lead me in 5 years? The world constantly pulls you toward urgency. Notifications, trends, impulses. Everything screams, now, now, now. But the wisest minds know how to zoom out. They play the long game. They understand that every small action today is planting a seed, and what you water grows. You can either grow a future you're proud of, or one you regret. Thinking long-term means you're willing to sacrifice temporary comfort for lasting results. It means you don't need instant praise, because you're working on something bigger than applause. You're not interested in shortcuts that burn fast and fizzle. You want strategies that build slow but last forever. When you think long-term, your choices become clearer. You don't buy things just to impress people. You invest in things that secure your freedom. You don't avoid challenges. You embrace them because they build resilience. You don't let emotions hijack your actions. You weigh them against the life you're building. Ask yourself, what does my future self need from me right now? Maybe it's discipline. Maybe it's rest. Maybe it's walking away from a toxic habit or relationship. Whatever it is, make decisions that respect your future. Because when you live with that mindset, you stop trading your long-term peace for short-term pleasure. Even with conversations, long-term thinkers don't aim to win every argument. They aim to protect the relationship, the integrity, the reputation. They know that one reckless outburst can damage something it took years to build. So they pause, they reflect, they think about the big picture. And here's something you need to remember. Thinking long-term doesn't mean delaying your life or waiting forever. It means moving now, but with direction. It means acting today with tomorrow in mind. It's not about being passive. It's about being purposeful. The people who build wealth, legacy, influence, they all have one thing in common. They're not thinking about this week. They're thinking about the next decade. They're not controlled by how they feel today. They're guided by who they want to become. You can't build a strong future with weak decisions, and you can't create a powerful life if every choice is driven by the mood you're in. So lift your vision. Think about the ripple effect of your actions. Every small step matters. Train your mind to think long-term. While others chase the quick fix, you'll be building the kind of life most people only dream about. And that starts with a single decision made with the future in mind. Number 12. Act like a thinker, live like a doer. Thinking is powerful, but thinking alone is never enough. Ideas don't change lives. Action does. You can sit with journals full of insights, plans, and goals. But if you don't move, nothing happens. The key is to strike the balance. Think like a strategist, but move like a builder. Be the kind of person who doesn't just have great thoughts, but turns those thoughts into steps. There are people who live in their heads. They overthink everything. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect idea, the perfect feeling, but perfection never shows up. Life doesn't reward potential, it rewards execution. So yes, think, plan, reflect, but don't get stuck in it. At some point, you have to rise, take the first step, and figure things out as you go. Critical thinking isn't about becoming a philosopher who never leaves the room. It's about sharpening your mind so your actions are smarter, your risks are wiser, and your path is clearer. You don't think just to sound smart. You think to make bold moves without being blind. You analyze, then you act. That's what separates real leaders from passive dreamers. You don't need everything figured out. You just need clarity on your next step. The moment you take that step, momentum kicks in, and momentum beats motivation every time. Small actions done consistently and intentionally lead to massive results. But they start with one thing: movement. Stop waiting to feel ready. Most of your best breakthroughs will come after you move, not before. Action builds confidence. Action brings feedback. Action turns ideas into reality. You want to know if your plan works? Try it. You want to improve your thinking? Test it. The real world will show you what books and theories never can. And here's something most people overlook: doing and thinking are partners, not enemies. Some people rush into action with no thought. They burn out. Others sit and plan forever. They rust out. But when you think with intention and act with courage, you move faster, stronger, and smarter. Don't get stuck waiting for the right time. The right time is when you've thought enough to start moving, and you're humble enough to adjust as you go. That's how builders move. That's how winners think. So make it your habit. Reflect deeply, but execute daily. Take notes, sure, but take action right after. Ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today that reflects the clarity I just gained? Then go do it. In the end, the world doesn't remember the quiet thinkers who kept everything to themselves. It remembers those who moved, those who created, those who acted on their vision with clarity and courage. So think well, but live loud. Let your thoughts shape your steps, and let your actions prove the strength of your mind. You've made it to the end, and that means one thing: you're serious about thinking better, speaking wiser, and living smarter. In a world full of noise, opinions, and distractions, mastering critical thinking is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. It's not just about being smart, it's about becoming clear, grounded, and intentional. Because once your mind is sharp, your words carry weight, your choices gain direction, and your life begins to reflect real power. Not loudness, but clarity. Not speed, but precision. Let's be honest. Most people won't do this work. They'll keep reacting instead of reflecting. They'll let emotions run their lives. They'll speak before thinking and act before understanding. But you're different. You've seen the value of questioning your thoughts, pausing before reacting, listening to learn, and acting with logic. You've learned that your mind is a tool, not your master. And the more you sharpen it, the more you rise above the chaos. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need the courage to ask the right questions. You don't need to act perfect. You just need to act with purpose. When you do that consistently, you earn something most never will: peace of mind, strength of voice, and confidence in your direction. So from this moment forward, carry this with you. Speak boldly, not to impress, but to express truth. Act smartly, not to move fast, but to move right. And think clearly, not to win arguments, but to win your life. You now have the tools. The question is, will you use them? This journey doesn't end here. It starts now. Every situation you face, every conversation you enter, every decision you make. That's where this mindset gets tested and proven. You won't always get it right, but if you stay conscious, stay curious, and stay committed, you'll grow sharper with each step. You don't need to be perfect, just be aware. Stay awake, and take full ownership of the way you think, speak, and move through the world. Your mind is your weapon. Your words are your influence. Your actions are your legacy. So go out there not just as a thinker, but as a leader. Not just as a voice, but as an example. And most of all, not just as a follower of truth, but as someone who lives it. Let them wonder how you do it. Let them feel the weight of your clarity. And when they ask where your power comes from, you'll know it came from mastering your mind. Now go use it.